Hi, my name's Alex Copeland and I work with Richard Fairburn and the Online Success Model team, and I'm here to bring you this fantastic Instagram course. Curate top-notch content and mix in your reverse engineer content. Now that you've got your competitors' successful content marked down, start looking for third-party content along the same lines. Now you don't need to create this content, so you're saving yourself an awful lot of time and money. However, you're doing yourself a big favour because you are giving your target audience the kind of content that they're looking for. You are giving them something to engage with, and you know they're going to like it from your research. This means that you can attract the same crowd as the people that were competing with you. Now the thing is, curation can only take you so far. Don't get lazy. Use it to attract and add to your followers, but don't make it the only thing you do. The next step in this is to come up with a short list of your competitors' very best content and then come up with your own versions. But it has to be so much better. This is what puts you above the others. This is what makes you stand out from the crowd. You're trying to build a persona, remember? And up until now, because you're just sharing curated content or content quite similar to competitors, you're just another face in the crowd. Your persona is more about the niche than it is about you. So now you need to come up with content that is above and beyond and start to invent your persona properly. But how do you do this? So how exactly do you improve on others' content? Well, there are several ways you can improve the quality of content that you reverse engineer. And let me just make this very clear again. We're not copying and pasting here. We're just using it for ideas. We're not taking work and passing it off as our own. We're using the ideas and using them to create new and better content. And we can do this by using some or all of the following ideas. Try updating the content. Offer an updated version of it. Maybe that's better pictures or better video. You'd be surprised as to how viral your content can be just by having a slightly updated version. People will see it and they will see that yours is the one that's newest and follow you instead of the other people. Higher production quality. When you're publishing content, make sure the quality values of that content are high. Do it in HD, have the top colours, the good compositions. You have to produce content that's so obviously superior to competitors that your brand stands out and people sit up and notice. Include more details. I can't even begin to tell you how many Instagram accounts out there just post a picture and a hashtag, if that. That's just being lazy. You have to give more details because when you do this, you give the proper information and it fills those gaps in the minds of your viewers. It leaves less mystery and it makes you more trustworthy. And eventually, if you keep this up, they'll start looking at your brand as some sort of reference site or a resource. But you do need to find that happy medium between too much and not enough information. There is such a thing as overkill. You don't want to waffle on or do things that don't actually help in your conversions. Use better hashtags. Now, when you did your reverse engineering, you'll notice that some tags get used a lot more than others. And you can use these and see how they do for you, but it might be that they're too general or broad and you're attracting slightly the wrong crowd. What you need to do is play around with this hashtag selection until you reach a point where you can be sure that a more specific tag is pulling more traffic from Instagram or helping you gain more followers. Now, unfortunately, there's no black and white answer to this. You just have to try it and see what works for you. After some trial and error, you'll be able to see what hashtags are best for your niche. But at least with the reverse engineering, you've found ones to start your process with. Come up with a better picture series. Now, believe it or not, when people like a picture on Instagram, a lot of them want to see more of the same. Now, by the same, I don't mean the same exact picture, but from the same series. For example, you might see a picture of a beautiful vacation location and someone's just put up 2 pictures. Well, people want to see the area around that. They want to see it at night, low tide, high tide. There's lots of different ways that this same picture series can be seen. If you can come up with a better picture series based on these things you know people are interested in, then you're going to stand out. Use a better influencer distribution network. Now, after you've done Instagram marketing for a while, you'll quickly notice that some accounts on Instagram tend to get a lot more attention in your niche than others. Now, don't run away from these. They aren't necessarily competitors, and even if they are, they could be potential allies. Engage with them and they might be willing to share things for you. Now, they've already done the heavy lifting of attracting the same audience that you're trying to attract, so it might be that you can get them to help you out. Now you might be thinking to yourself that all of these are in it for the money, so why would they? But there's also a lot of hobbyists on Instagram. Now these aren't in it for the money, they're not marketing, they're just very interested in what they do. So they'll probably happily share your stuff. Call your viewer to action. To get better results than your competitors, always include a call to action. With everything else being equal, a call to action will make all the difference. If you've got the same content as your competitor, but yours tells them what to do next, you win. Remember, the name of the game here is to figure out your competitor's strengths and build on them, while at the same time taking advantage of their weaknesses. And if they've got good content but no call to action, this is a weakness that you can exploit. Your profile link call to action must address the same as the content. Everything you do on Instagram must integrate with content. If you're just shouting out and trying to get a link click, then you're leaving tons of money on the table. You need to qualify them. But how do you do that? Well, one simple way is to link from your bio to an internal page wherever your website is or wherever your content is. The reason for this is because then you can show them some content that they can look at and digest, and it builds credibility. It might answer some questions they've got in that niche rather than sending them straight to a buy button. They'll read this content, they'll enjoy it, they may even click through to different parts of your website, and eventually they'll get to that conversion page. It increases the likelihood that when they do land on that page, they'll take the action you want them to because they think you're an authority. Now this is definitely the way I prefer to convert Instagram traffic. I like to get them to a squeeze page and get their email from them, but only after they've gone through some content and got to know me. I don't just dump them onto a sales page as they won't be in the mood for what I want them to do. And ultimately, the best thing to do is get them onto a mailing list because then that can do the heavy lifting and target them again and again. Now, if you don't follow the tips we've just given, then chances are your content is just going to remain flat. So make sure you incorporate as many of these in it as you can.